Hey guys, I know it has been a little while, but we're back. We are getting ready for Monday Night Raw. It is literally a new era. There is a completely new feeling that we just really got a taste of at SummerSlam. Keep in mind that this was the first premium live event in which Triple H had creative control. Now, some of the matches and those sorts of things were already set up, obviously, but he was able to do some things with that. So, we start out the show with Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair. Fantastic match, honestly. They did an incredible job, and afterwards, not going to lie, I maybe had a little bit of a mini tantrum. I'm a huge Becky Lynch fan, even though she has been portraying a heel lately. And I have felt and agreed that she needed a little something different. I was happy to see at the end that she did extend that hand and they did have that hug in the middle. And I thought that that was the end of it. I literally thought that is the start of the face turn for Becky, and I was satisfied with that. Then when we hear Bayley's music hit, that made a huge difference. That's interesting to have her back. And more or less hinting that she's going to be playing a role on Monday Night Raw. She did not come alone. No, Dakota Kai and Io Sky, as she is now being called. You'll remember her from NXT as Io Shirai. Super excited to see these three women together. This really opens up a lot of avenues for the Raw Women's division. It truly does. So, with Bayley, Io, and Dakota making their way to the ring, my initial thought process is they're not going to just leave this as a 3-on-1 beatdown, are they? I mean, they could. It's a possibility. But I thought, I don't see them doing that. Someone has to come out. Someone has to be there. And there is Becky Lynch, solidifying her babyface turn, standing next to Bianca. I loved it. It gave me goosebumps. There are so many opportunities now, different matches that they can have, different matchups, feuds. I am excited for this Raw Women's division. I truly am. Very excited to see where this leads. Excited to see where they go with this babyface Becky character. I'm excited. So we then had Logan Paul and The Miz. The Miz, of course, coming out with Maurice and Ciampa. I was torn by this one because I felt as though Logan Paul should win it, yet not, as he is more of a celebrity member. He's officially contracted with the company, however, not necessarily your average superstar. So I felt like he should win this, and I felt like Miz would be fine without the victory. However, I didn't know how they were going to make that happen with Ciampa and Maurice there. And to be fair, Maurice didn't really get involved all that much. However, Ciampa definitely did, to the point where he was being thrown out of ringside, which he wasn't having. So he grabs a chair and he sits. He's not moving. Then you hear AJ Styles' music hit. It's like, what? So to see AJ being involved to that extent, and at least getting him on the card to that extent, it gives another element to this. And it opens up a potential Miz and Ciampa versus Paul and Styles. You never know. It opens up a whole new little avenue there. I'm excited to see where that goes. Okay. Then we see Bobby Lashley versus Austin Theory. This one is actually pretty straightforward. Nothing overly exciting really happened. Theory got hit with the Hurt Lock, Lashley got that locked in, and that was really it. Theory did try to leave, but Lashley blocked him from being able to do that. Otherwise, not anything super exciting happened. So we then have the Judgment Day versus the Mysterios in a no disqualification match. This was kind of fun. So before this match happens, we did get a hint that whatever has been happening with these mysterious promos is concluding tonight. We're going to see who this is. They're coming back. And you can tell by little things in it that it is definitely Edge. We are getting Brood Edge. He is coming back. We are going to see him there. And we did. It was a pretty straightforward match. Honestly, and until Edge did come out, which I don't know that. I mean, they did need it, yes, they didn't, as Rhea Ripley did get involved, but it was pretty neat to see Edge coming out with this new music with, well, I guess it was the Brood music, but it was a new outfit, it was a new look for him. So that was very interesting, and I'm excited to see where things go from there with Edge, who, by the way, is going to be on Monday Night Raw tonight. Yeah. We then have Pat McAfee and Happy Corbin. This match was okay. I enjoyed this was another one that I had a little bit of difficulty with, in that I felt like Happy Corbin did somewhat need to pick up a victory, yet at the same time he has held the advantage throughout the build-up to this. So to some extent I felt like they were going to give McAfee the win, but I wasn't really sure how they were going to go about it while keeping Corbin looking strong. But they did this. If you remember, on Friday night, Corbin did hit McAfee with a low blow. So while the referee's back was turned, McAfee hit Corbin with a low blow. And that is what helped him to pick up the victory. So that was kind of interesting. I'm kind of glad that they I am glad that they kind of got that little dig in there between the two of them. McAfee has been good in the ring, considering that he is not necessarily a regular superstar that has been doing this for a while. He has really been putting in his work. Okay. We then have the Undisputed Tag Team Championships. The Usos and the Street Profits with Jeff Jarrett as the special guest referee. Some are somewhat upset by Jeff Jarrett taking some of the attention away from this tag team match. And I don't know that he did take away from it as much as some think that he did. This was a hard-fought victory by the Usos, and they did end up picking up a clean win. No one's shoulder was up. It was another one that I was disappointed by the loss of the Street Profits, yet I somewhat kind of get it. And I have to say that they did finish the match in such a way they were going to be able to move further with not necessarily a storyline with the Usos, but a storyline for them. This was through, you could see the look on, oh, now I'm, Montez Ford's face. He was definitely upset by this loss. A lot. And at first we didn't know whether there was going to be some kind of turn, whether he was going to let some of that frustration out there, but it does not seem to look like it. And I don't know if we're going to see that tonight or if we'll see the repercussions from that on Friday. It's either one is possible. But we're definitely, I think, going to see some of that frustration answered in that. I don't know where they move with the tag team division here now. If they move away from this feud, they could. This could be the combination of that. And that would be okay. Okay. We then have... so, we were supposed to get a match between Riddle and Seth Rollins. And after Friday night, it was announced that Riddle was not cleared to compete. And we didn't know whether or not we were going to see anything between the two. However, Riddle did come out to the ring. He called out Seth Rollins against the ideas from everyone there at ringside, with commentary and everything, that thought this was just a bad idea for Riddle. He's already taped up. He's clearly hurt. Then you get this shot of Rollins. He did answer Riddle's call, and he's running down to the ring. This is the other thing I have to say. It was a long walk down to the ring. It was a long ramp. So Rollins is running down there, and Riddle meets him halfway. He gets out of the ring, meets him halfway there, and Rollins ends up hitting him with another stomp. So we are definitely going to get more of this, but that moves that storyline along at least. So where usually we could maybe see something mentioned about it, this time we actually did get both participants out there and still moving that storyline further along. So I'm excited to see that. That was fun. And I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes from here. We then have the SmackDown Women's Championship. This was a pretty decent match. It was pretty hard fought. So Liv Morgan ends up picking up the victory. Now without controversy. So the referee, the official, is counting his 3 count because Ronda's shoulders were down. That happened. However, before he hit that 3 count, what he did not see and wasn't watching was before he hit the mat the 3rd time, Liv Morgan tapped out. She did. And some are upset by having this happen, and I've kind of been there before. There was the occasion in a Iron Man match with Sasha Banks and Charlotte where there was just a couple seconds left, and Sasha Banks tapped out to give Charlotte the victory. So my thought process at that time was, this person knows that they only have a couple seconds that they need to hang on. Why do you not let them hang on those last couple of seconds? That's all you've got, right? And of course that would have left the Iron Man match at a tie. Not necessarily the best scenario there, but in this instance, Liv, I think, realizes that she has both shoulders on the mat and only needs to make it that 3 count. So why do you have her tap out? But I'm not upset about it necessarily, because it does add some depth to the feud. Ronda Rousey is clearly, understandably upset about this loss. She is definitely the one that should have been listed as the champion after this. Now, after the match, she does attack Liv, and she is pulled off of her by the official. And now Ronda Rousey is upset at the official. Again, somewhat understandable in that it was the official's decision that cost her gaining that title. But you still can't put your hands on an official. So you add that depth, and now clearly showing that Ronda Rousey is a heel character. And you have Liv still a babyface character, yet there is that intrigue of a questionable victory there, which adds some intrigue to her character in general, which we haven't necessarily seen yet. So we'll see what they end up doing with that when it comes to SmackDown this week, and we get the fallout from that. We'll see what they end up doing, but a lot of people were not necessarily happy about that, but I don't necessarily hate it, because it does add depth to that if you're going to continue with that feud, and it appears as though that is the direction that they're going. And that's fine if you're going to use that for that next Premium Live event. That's fine, because you can build up from this to make an even better match between the two. We then had the Undisputed Universal Championship. That unified title. Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar. So here's one thing that had been mentioned earlier in the night, that there was not LEDs around the ring posts and the edges of the ring, the walls of it. Typically when this happens, you're going to see some destruction happening to the ring, and that's why they don't have the LCD screens. So that was one thing that was noticed. And so, just a fun anecdote, so there's a Twitch user that I follow, Conman, that he commentates over these matches, and one of the things he brought up before the show started was, wouldn't it be fun if Brock Lesnar came down to the ring in a tractor? Now when he first came out, you didn't see the tractor, so you thought he was coming down to his ordinary music in an ordinary fashion. No, he went to find a brand new tractor, a red tractor that he did drive down to the ring. So at this point you wonder, is he going to use this tractor to destroy the ring? And he did use it to move the ring and lift it up. He didn't completely flip it, but he did move and lift the ring. This was a pretty good match. Toward the end, you had a lot of spots where they really hit finishers that you thought that this was the end. And Brock Lesnar did not get up until the last second of that 10 count. One thing to mention though is that Theory did come out. He did attempt to try to cash in, to insert himself into this match. However, Brock Lesnar knocked the briefcase out of his hand before he could officially hand it to the official and have the official ring the bell to enter him into it. He did not really move until after the match was over, so he did not officially cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase. So to close out this match, and at first I wasn't necessarily thrilled that the Usos came out and got involved. I felt like they didn't necessarily need to have that happen, but it was okay. It didn't necessarily hurt the match, I don't think. Eventually they would bury Brock Lesnar under everything. The table that had been destroyed, tables, anything that they could find, the steel steps, whatever they could find to pile on top of Brock to keep him from being able to get up for that 10 count. Because up to that point, he had barely made it. So even if Brock had started to get up at that point, he would have had to move so much stuff that because of that, it would have held him up just enough that he wouldn't have gotten to that 10 count. So it was a fun finish to the match. I am slightly disappointed, I will say, because I had not mentioned this yet, but when we had the end of SmackDown, I believe it was, where Drew McIntyre came out and he hit a he hit a kick to Theory, a Claymore kick to Theory, as Theory was leaving the ramp after Brock Lesnar, after he tried to confront Lesnar. When Theory's laying there on the ground, the look between Lesnar and McIntyre really intrigued me. I liked that. And I would have been very much for seeing that match. So instead, we are going to end up getting Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns again at Clash at the Castle in Cardiff. That's okay. I don't necessarily hate it, but I think I would have been a little bit more interested in seeing Brock Lesnar and Drew McIntyre. So that closes out SummerSlam, and now we're going to get the Fallout Monday Night Raw tonight, and I'm excited to see what they do with all of this. I am excited to see if they have any of these new matches with these women coming back, if we learn anything more from that. I'm excited. Thank you guys.